So, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back to another session in which we showcase amazing women from across the world. And today we have with us Asma Kadwa. And we're going to talk about a slightly sensitive topic. However, it is such an amazing topic because Asma is going to be sharing a huge success story of hers today. Welcome so much, Asma. Thank you for giving us your time and thank you for being here.
Jazakallah for having me here. Um, so a little bit about myself. I am 35 years old. I was born and raised here in Toronto, and I'm a recent graduate of the Child and Youth Care program at Toronto Metropolitan University. And I like to share that because it was quite the journey to get, where that is at the age of 35. Um, and my work does include working with vulnerable children and youth. So I do work in a youth custody center, so youth that are in conflict with the law. And I also volunteer with the Kids Help Phone as a crisis text line responder. So it's a 24-hour line where anybody in crisis can text in. And
When did you start working with them?
so I actually started, it's a volunteer role. So I started during the pandemic, there was a rise in mental health services, right? A need of, youth in crisis. I, yeah, so in 2019, I started an advanced diploma program at Centennial College in child and youth care. So child and youth care practitioners are basically, we work with children and youth that are vulnerable, so in shelters, in group homes, hospitals, schools, right? So we're a lot of it stemmed from my son being diagnosed with ADHD and a learning disability. And I found myself advocating for him a lot in school. So alhamdulillah, I just graduated from that. It was an amazing experience. And I'm actually in the process of now pursuing my master's in social work. Inshallah.
When you decided to go back to college, did you have a good support group? Like, who was your support group?
Unfortunately, I didn't have any support. Um, I decided it was very close to the end of my marriage. I thought, okay, like I got married at a very young age. I was only 18, and I spent a good amount of years, just raising children. So I didn't have a high school diploma. So I was very worried that I wasn't going to get in because I know like there's a lot of questions around that stuff, or somebody might think that, oh, like I don't have a high school diploma, I can't apply. But no, there's ways around things because you come with a life of experience too, and colleges and universities look at that. Didn't get in because it was waitlisted. And I remember being so disappointed. So I'd applied in like June for September, and it was waitlisted already. And I was like, I need like I really want to start in September. Okay, fine. Like there's a reason why, I didn't get in. It's okay. Like I'll start in January. Little did I know that I was actually going to go through my separation in October, and then, go through this like challenging time. Uh, but by the time I started in January, although things were still very intense and, very challenging, it had already been a couple of months. And so alhamdulillah, like it all worked out, and I started. Um, I feel like Allah puts people in your life that becomes your community. Just, it's like I was being handed like all of these people. So I had some amazing professors in my academic journey. And yeah, honestly, like I feel like that's where the support and success came from. Obviously, success is from Allah, but these people were put in my way as a means of getting that support. I like to, tell like anybody that I speak to about this is trust Allah and trust in your journey, right? And one thing I had to learn is everybody's journey is different. Right? Like set goals for yourself, and if it doesn't work out one way, it's okay. Like find another way. Right? Like you want to do your best and be kind to yourself. Be When I went through my divorce journey, it was quite lonely, right? It's very easy to feel very disconnected from the community. You lose a lot of friends. you can lose your community. I was really passionate about, speaking up about this stigma of divorce in the Muslim community. And regardless of me being born and raised here, that has an impact on you and your community and the people around you. And when I went through my divorce, I realized how lonely it can be. You're seen from a different lens. Um, people like people like to talk, right? And I wanted to be able to openly talk about divorce at a time now where there's a lot more awareness, there's more access, right? We have access to technology, we have access to supports, communities. We're growing up in a different time. So it's different, and you've got access to Islam, what Islam teaches us. And when you look at what Islam talks about, divorced Muslim women, it's not what we culturally believe and what we culturally act on. Like, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, like being divorced didn't mean anything, right? Like there wasn't stigma to it. You weren't seen as something different. Why is it now like, the minute you get divorced, it's like you get cut off from your community, you get cut off from friends. Automatically, there's these assumptions about you, like you're seen from a different lens. And I wanted to change that and inspire. I want there to be, even if one woman can come on my page and say, if she can do it, I can do it too, and feel motivated. I feel like, like my goal is met. I'm on this journey of finding myself. And who am I? I'm Asma. So like, okay, perfect. Finding Asma. And I'm still finding myself, right? Like I feel like I'm still on this journey. Who I was, 6 years ago when I went through my separation and divorce to who I am now. Yes, alhamdulillah, I've graduated university, my children are a lot older. I'm still in this journey of finding myself, right? When someone messages me and says, Asma, like you give me hope, or like, mashallah, like you did it, like that's inspiring. To me, that is like, I put myself in that position where I was like, I wish I had someone, that looked like me, that openly talked about it. But what I had seen, what I see, it's still an issue, is our communities don't talk about these topics. Is when you have any topic on divorce, automatically people assume you're promoting divorce. You don't want to talk about it. Just do sabr. Let's not talk about it. Let's hide it. And that's what I want to break, right? Like I want there to be like support groups in masjids for divorced women and not be ashamed of their marital status. Nobody, and I always say this, no one gets married to get divorced. Instead of just saying, sister, do sabr, everything will be okay. Yes, I will do sabr, but how do I navigate, childcare? How do I being Muslim is a big part of your identity. So there is a lot of non-Muslim organizations that you will get help from. But if being Muslim is a big part of your identity, that is one of the first places you look for. Where do we go when we first face an issue? We want to talk to an imam. I
I'd be
love how
very
you
close.
said empowering families, because I don't think it's a deception, because when you actually look at our families, majority of the time, who who's running the families? It's the women. Exactly, right? Because like I I like to always say, like, if we look at examples from the time of our Prophet ﷺ, right? Best example, right? To humankind. A lot of his wives were divorcees and widows. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, whenever a woman was divorced and she passed her iddah, men would rush to send a proposal again. That's the example Islam says, right? And I won't speak from anybody else's example other than myself, right? I have heard some ridiculous narratives of my own story. And it's like people like to, just label, and, women, historically and like have always been blamed. Clueless, clueless. I used to have the mentality, I am just a mom. I remember crying. I remember going to different people, different offices, talking to everyone. And my biggest struggle was asking for help. And that grow like your surroundings and your circumstances, like growing up with immigrant parents, culture was a huge part of our life. It's like there's still a lot of influences. Now, that also impacts how you were raised, but not only that, how you choose to raise your children. We always talk about generational trauma to validate like our experiences. However, we don't talk enough about generational strength, right? And where's the promotion of generational strength? Unfortunately, for a lot of, immigrant families, when they come here, is you have to work, right? Work and send money back home, right? Like generational trauma, we talk about it all the time. Talk about generational strengths. What can we take away from our elders? Honor that, right? Like you have easy access to information, and so we have no reason to be ignorant in
No,
2024.
no, we don't. It was so nice to meet you, to talk to you, um, and to get to know you,
Like,
interview. And thank you once again. And we'll be in touch, inshallah, very soon.
thank you for having me.
Take care, Asma. Assalamu
Okay, you
alaikum.
too. Like, salam.